Hi, I'm Amy Moskowitz, and I'm the reference manager at the Haverford Township Free Library. Since we are now open for curbside service, the reference staff and I will be sharing some books which will be available for pickup if you're interested in any of these selections. Please call first and see if any of them are still available. Today I have two selections from our catalog which I think you'll enjoy. Both are nonfiction and deal with psychology. Both are also audiobooks. I know that since I've been back to work, I've been really enjoying listening to audiobooks in the car. The first one is The Great Pretender, The Undercover Mission That Changed Our Understanding of Madness by Susanna Callan. Callan is the best-selling author of Brain on Fire. In The Great Pretender, she does an amazing job of investigating the 50-year-old mystery behind a dramatic experiment that changed the course of modern medicine. In 1973, a charismatic doctor convinced 8 healthy people to commit themselves to mental hospitals. They had to prove their sanity to be set free. The doctor was David Rosenhan, a Stanford psychologist who created this experiment. There's even a bit of a local angle here in this book that people from this area will appreciate. Kirkus, which gave this book a starred review, called it, quote, gripping and vivid, unquote. And author Susan Orlean, which many of us will recognize from the book, The Library Book, said it grips as tightly as madness that it investigates. I listened to the audiobook of The Great Pretender, like I said, and learned so much. I really like to learn about aspects of psychology that I did not hear about in school. I learned about Dr. Rosenhan and his pseudo-patients, as he called them, and it was absolutely fascinating. If you have an interest in psychology, you'll enjoy this book. But I'd also recommend it for readers who enjoy history and a tinge of suspense. Did the pseudo-patients make it out? How did they orchestrate such a thing in the first place? You'll have to read it to find out. The second selection is How to Change Your Mind. What the New Science of Psychedelics Teaches Us About Consciousness, Dying, Addiction, Depression, and Transcendence by Michael Pollan. Pollan is the best-selling author of The Omnivore's Dilemma and In Defense of Food. In this book, he steps away from gastronomy and into the world of psychedelics. But this ain't the 60s, man. This is science. It's also a New York Times notable book, one of the New York Times Book Review's 10 best books of 2018, a #1 New York Times bestseller, and, quote, a brilliant and brave investigation into the medical and scientific revolution taking place around psychedelic drugs and the spellbinding story of his own life-changing psychedelic experiences, unquote. Yes, Pollan does not just talk the talk in this book, he also walks the walk by actually partaking in a few different psychedelics himself. This, for me, was actually my favorite part of the book, to hear the author's firsthand account of his experiences actually taking these drugs and in these controlled experiments, in these controlled environments, and how they may have changed his perception. This was very interesting to me. This book gets very personal. I would recommend it for those interested in the science of psychedelics, of course, but there's more to it than that. Pollan's account makes it a great read for those who like psychology, medicine, history, and memoir. For some, this may be outside of your comfort zone, and I get that, but I assure you, you'll learn a lot. For others, reading about LSD and psilocybin or magic mushrooms and other psychedelics may not be such a reach, and finding out how they are being used to treat depression, addiction, and anxiety may be fascinating. I know it was for me. If you don't like Pollan, maybe this book can change your mind. Remember, if interested in either of these titles, How to Change Your Mind or The Great Pretender, first see if they're available. I'll be back next week with more selections to choose from. Thanks so much for joining me in Reading with Reference.